Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles Thurishhead Gaming, and I've got another Ninth Age battle report. This is round 2 of Battlecry GT. I played against another Orc and Goblin player, and let's get into the lists. So here's just a quick picture of my list I took. I went over the list in longer detail in my first video. I'd highly recommend that video if you want to get a better insight into the list and everything that it does. I'm just going to let you guys pause if you really want to look at it, but I'm not going to really talk about it much more. I played Daniel Rupert's Orcs and Goblins, round 2. Actually, fun fact is he was also one of the East Coast Warriors. So he got a relatively same score as me. And so we ended up playing round 2, and so I got Orcs and Goblins twice in a row. So he's got a Fairlord Shaman. He's the general with the war cry. He's a wizard adept to shamanism instead of a wizard master. He also has the crown of autocracy, which is apparently really common right now. He's got paired weapons and the obsidian rock. Then he has an Iron Orc warlord on a boar with the omen of the apocalypse. He's got the dragonfire gem, a shield, Dusk Forged, and a Potion of Swiftness. So a very strong Iron Orc build there. He's got 2 Goblin Witch Doctors, both adepts, one with Witchcraft and one with Thaumaturgy. So my opponent had a lot of spells. And then he had 2 Forest Goblin Chiefs on the Scuttler Spider, and one has a Dragon Staff. Then he has 29 Feral Orc Ed Bashers with paired weapons, Standard, Champion, and the Green Tine Banner. Then he had 30 Cave Goblins with shields and 2 Mad Gits. He had 38 Forest Goblins with Spear and Shield. He had 23 Gnasher Herd, 2 Gnasher Wrecking Teams, 2 Git Launchers, 2 Skewers, and a Great Green Idol BSB. So very interesting Orcs and Goblins list. Sort of similar elements to the first one I played. Actually, I feel like all the Orc and Goblins at Battlecry had a lot of the same elements. They all had like that Feral Orc Shaman General with the crown of autocracy. That was incredible to see too. So, round 2 at Battlecry GT was Dawn Assault and Secure Target. And these are the spells I took. I actually took the very similar spells from Cosmology, Altered Sight, Ice and Fire, Touch of the Heart, and Perception of Strength. I took Quicksilver Lash, and this is actually going to come up in the battle report. My opponent did not have a copy of his list. I had it on my Dropbox on my phone. So I kind of looked at it, and I looked at his list, and I definitely missed that the Iron Orc War Boss had the Dragonfire gem, so that's why I took Quicksilver Lash. I thought it would also be good against the Great Green Idol, which it is good against the Great Green Idol, considering its resilience 8, but a Fireball I think would have been a much better choice. And then I don't have my opponent's spells. I know from memory the Shamanism General had the +1 Strength and Toughness and the Hereditary spell. From Witchcraft he had the Deceptive Glamour, and he didn't have the shooting spell. I think he had the magic move from there, Raven's Wing, and then from Thaumaturgy he had the breath weapon and he had Smite the Unbeliever. So this is my opponent's deployment. So it's Dawn Assault. So basically where the picture ends, it was on that third of the board he couldn't deploy. So he's got a Bolt Thrower on his extreme left, my extreme right in this picture. One of his Gnasher Wrecking Teams are those giant squigs. Another Skewer. His 23 Gnashers kind of in the middle with his Great Green Idol on that hill, and one of his Git Launchers behind it. And then he's got a large block of Goblins with his 2 Wizards on that hill as well. His big block of Ferals is center in his list with his Shaman General on the corner there. Another Git Launcher behind them, and then the Cave Goblins are in the water right now with the Iron Orc Warlord on the boar and another Gnasher Wrecking Team. And my opponent did pretty much, he actually just dropped everything for turn 1. So there's his Iron Orc Warlord guy, and there's his 2 Witch Doctors. And he hadn't deployed his Spider Heroes yet. So my deployment. So I have my 2 Riders on the same side, with my Knights in the Rune to get as much cover as possible from those Skewers and from the Git Launchers. Actually, I guess the Git Launchers doesn't really matter because they're catapults. And then I have my crossbows next to them. My Wizard in the middle, so he's got range to cast his spells. 4 of my Knights of Sun Griffin, I deployed them 12 inches forward so that he couldn't put any of his heroes in that forest. And then my Three Knights of Sun Griffin. We played Secure Target, and I actually tried the same strategy I played against with Phil Carl in a couple battle reports ago, where I put my he put his objective middle-ish, and I put mine in my corner because I think that's an interesting strategy, and I wanted to try that. And then I've got my steam tank on my kind of my extreme part of my flank. So these are our vanguards and our scouts. So he scouted and vanguarded that guy, and the goblin guy and the wolf is on a spider, and he's got the dragon staff, and this is where he put his other skeller spider. So orcs and goblins, turn one. He doesn't really move up that aggressively with his blocks. He does his gnashers first. He moves up his orc guy to go after the steam tank. He couldn't get him out of my arc of sight, so he just puts him forward. And then, yeah, he's got a lot of shooting, and he's going to kind of start doing that. So he gets Flux card 6, and he tries to get +1 strength and resilience, or he tries to get resilience up on his shaman to make it hard for my cannon to hit him, but I dispel that. He gets Smite the Unbeliever off my 4 Knights of Sun Griffin, and I just let that go. And then he also got Deceptive Glamour off on them too, and I let that go too. His Dragon Staff kills 2 riders, but thankfully they passed their panic test. And then one of the skewers hits my 4 Knights of Sun Griffin. It does 2 wounds. And then thankfully I got really lucky in this game. Both his Git launchers misfired turn 1. One rolled a 1 and just took 1 wound, and then the other one didn't get to shoot the rest of the game. So that was a big turn for me, turn 1. And this is Emperor Sonnstahl turn 1. So I decided he chaffed me with his spider hero, but I decided I wanted to use my breath weapon against him to see if I could just get rid of him, and I was just going to shoot my cannon at his orc guy because obviously that was one of the best ways I could just kill that guy. I moved my riders up to really threaten his bolt throwers because I'm thinking if I can get rid of those bolt throwers sooner than later, I can start being more aggressive with my knights. And that's about it, really. Kind of the Knights of Sun Griffin just slide around. The crossbows don't really move. They're going to try and get rid of that Nasher Wrecking team that's coming forward. I get Flux card 8 turn 1, which is great. Save 1 Veil token. And I actually throw, again, this is where it came up, is I threw a Quicksilver Lash at his dude. And I got 4 hits, and I did 4 wounds. And I thought, like, yo, like, I just killed this guy. And then my opponent, he had the same reaction where he's like, oh no, like I lost my orc guy. And then he's like, oh wait, he has the Dragonfire gem. And I was like, he does? And he's like, yes, he does. And we had to look at his list, and it was like, oh my god, he does. And I didn't really learn this until my turn 1 that he had it. And this is when I felt really stupid. And he rolls his 4 dice, and he rolls 1-1. So I still put a wound on him, but I was like, what the? I felt a little upset at that, that I didn't know that really before it started. And again, that's sort of on me. I could have looked on my Dropbox a little closer, but my opponent also didn't have a list for me. And that's the only magic that really happens. My steam tank fires turn 1 and it misfires, and it doesn't get to shoot for another turn, so that's kind of a bummer. And then thankfully my crossbows are able to get rid of one of the Nasher Wrecking teams. That was awesome. And then this is really what it's looking like at the actually, this is the start of my opponent's turn 1. It's not even the end of Empire Sonnstahl turn 1. So he had to charge both his spider and his orc warlord to get into my steam tank. That angle he had with his spider probably should have been a little bit... He was really close. I think he might have wanted to be back a little bit farther because he was so close that like he had to charge the spider in. Otherwise, he didn't have an angle on the steam tank, actually. So he charges both in. The Nasher Wrecking team that's still left moves up pretty far, and then that's about it. His blocks kind of move forward a little bit, but they really don't have far to go. And he moves his wolf hero a little bit too. He gets Flux card 4 this turn, and he gets cleansing. He tries to get Cleansing Fire off on his goblin hero. That's the breath weapon. I just stopped that. I want to keep my riders alive as long as possible, threaten those bolt throwers. He gets Awaken the Beast off, I think, for strength on the... I'm pretty sure it was strength for the Iron Oak Warlord to try and chew through the steam tank. It's very smart. And then he puts Deceptive Glamour on my Knights, the Sun Griffin. Again, I just kind of I wasn't really worried about that spell. And he puts Evil Eye on his Great Korean Idol, since he got a Witchcraft spell off. And then, unfortunately, one of his get launchers, the one that can still shoot, hits my unit of 3 rioters and just smokes the 3 that are left. So I lose the rest of those guys. So I have one unit of riders that can go thread and bolt throwers, but I was really wanted that other one so I could try and get rid of both my next turn. And then in combat, it's kind of a whiff fest. I kill the Goblin hero. I think I put all my grinds on that guy. I just didn't really want to fail. And I honestly really wasn't thinking I was going to do that much damage to an Iron Orc Warlord with 1-up rerollable. So, and then I think he only rolled a 1 for his axe, so he had like 5, strength 7 attack, strength maybe, yes, strength 7. Or maybe strength 8. But he only does 1 wound to the steam tank. And this is the start of Empire Sonnstahl, turn 2. So I charge the riders into the bolt thrower, and my plan is just to go after that remaining get launcher. At the very least, I can get rid of those. I move my knights back to give them as much space as possible from the steam tank combat, and I move my wizard over. I really want to try and get rid of that Nasher wrecking team that's still alive. And fortunately, my crossbows really weren't in a good spot. I didn't want to turn and shoot them because they would just waste their shooting. So they're just going to work on the Nasher herd that's coming at me. And yeah, and then the small unit Knights of the Sun Griffin have just been sliding over, inching towards the objective that's on my side of the board. That's another picture of kind of the movement phase. I get Flux Card 1 on my turn 2, which actually leaves me with 1 Veil token still. And this is when I get a Quicksilver Lash off against his Great Green Idol, and I do 3 wounds, so that was great. And then the crossbows open up, and I think they killed like the last rank of the Nashers, so did like 7 wounds, which is great. And then in combat, I think he puts 4 wounds on the steam tank this time, and he rolls a 3 with his axe, and I do 1 wound to him with my grinds. So it started Orcs and Goblins turn 3. He moved his Nasher wrecking team so that he could avoid the steam tank combat, because otherwise he'd have to distribute hits evenly across the 2 models, and he was understandably worried that he could possibly just put that 1 more wound on his Orc Warlord. So basically he just barely slides past the steam tank, and he doesn't go off the board, and he's just sitting right here in between my Knights of the Sun Griffin now. So somehow that Nasher made it all the way to the other side of the board. He gets Flux Card 3. And this is a better picture of the rest of his movement. So he's moving things up. I think, he's pretty confident he's going to get rid of the steam tank now. And, yeah, he's just pushing all his blocks forward, kind of really claiming the objective at this point on me. My Riders did beat the bolt thrower, one of the skewers last round, and the nice thing about that is they did get close enough that the get launcher can't shoot them anymore. So they're gonna go after that get launcher and hopefully get rid of it. He gets Awaken the Beast off, I think for resilience this time. Just try and keep his orc guy alive. And the orc guy is able to finish off the steam tank in his round of combat. That's still the magic that was really important. I think the big thing is I stopped the breath weapon on his bolt thrower, or on his get launcher, so that he couldn't get rid of my riders. So, Empire Sonnstahl, turn 3. I charged my 4 Knights of Sun Griffin at his Orc Warlord. I didn't really like this option, but at this point I just need to get rid of that model. And it's only got 1 wound left. I'm hoping I can just go in and do the 1 wound. And at that point I don't even care if I lose that unit, because that'd be more than worth it. And I just turned my wizard to just try and get rid of that Nasher wrecking team, because that guy's obviously in a very scary place for me, and I'm feeling a little more confident to start moving my knights forward. I got Flux Card 5, which is really good. I'm able to get Altered Sight off on the crossbowman. I do 1 Perception of Strength on the orc guy to reduce his strength. I'm hoping that he rolls a 1 and that he's only like Strength 5 or Strength 6 maybe, and I can actually get some armor saves against him. In the shooting phase, I reduced the Nasher herd down to 6 models, which is awesome. And then in combat, he rolled another 5 or a 6 for his attacks and strength from the axe. He kills 2 Knights of Sun Griffin just straight up. I don't even get any saves against him. And then I go and I just can't do a win to him. The walls on the bottom flub all their attacks. They don't even, I don't even think they hit once. And then I know the two guys with the lances hit and wounded twice, but he made 2 4-up armor saves right off the bat. So Orcs and Goblins turn 4. He charges his Great Green Idol on the flank of the Knights of Sun Griffin to finish off that unit. His Nasher Wrecking Team almost comes into contact with my crossbowman. It's about 2-3 inches away. And yeah, he's claiming the objective. He moved his Cave Goblins over to throw his Mad Gits at them to try and cause them to panic off the board. Yeah, it's definitely moving forward on me. He gets the Flux card 7 on his turn 4. And he gets, he tries to get, I let him get Cleansing Fire off finally. He's going to throw it at my, my crossbows. At this point, I'm like, the crossbows have really done their work. It doesn't really matter if I lose a couple crossbows. He puts the wheel turns on my knights, and I wasn't really too worried because he chaffed me where I can't really go into one of his big blocks, and the wheel turns will be fine on me if I go into his Nashers. And he does get to put the evil on his Orcs, though. And the breath weapon in the shooting phase kills 2 light infantry. That was fine, not a big deal. And then in the rest of his shooting phase, he does release his 2 Mad Gits, but they both come up short. He needed a 6 for both, and he rolled a 5 twice. So I kind of lucked out right there in a big way. Otherwise, that could have just got a panic, and then I could just fled right off the board. And in the combat phase, the impact hits from the Great Green Idol does a wound, and again, he just obliterates me. We go Simo. I go Simo with his Orc War Boss, and this time the wolves don't flub, and they do 2 wounds, but he makes 2 more 4-ups again. So that guy's just sitting on his 1 wound, and he's just invincible. Just can't kill him. And yep, this is kind of how I was looking at the end of his turn 4. So actually, never mind. This is actually the start of my movement turn 4. So I turned my Knights of Sun Griffin to look at those Cave Goblins. I moved my Riders to just kind of go threaten that other Get Launcher. It's 180 points. This way, I wanted to go get that other Skewer, but it was hitting really well. It actually hit and wounded me, killed a Rider last turn, but I passed my panic test. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go after the easy one that really can't flee from me. And then, yeah, just move my Knights. I'm not really worried if those Nashers come in. They can't do enough damage. I just got to kill this Nasher Wrecking Team, and I really want to try and get his BSB. So I got Flux Card 7, which is a good magic phase. Save 1 token. I get a Touch of the Heart off on the Nasher Wrecking Team. Put a wound on him. And then the crossbows, they just barely do it. They just get rid of that Nasher Wrecking Team. Because I was able to get Altered Sight off on them, too. So hitting on 7s, but some spicy rolls turned up, and I mean, I only needed to do 2 more wounds, and I was sitting on 7s after that. Actually, no, I would have been hitting on 6s because Unwieldy is a -2, Altered Sight is a +1, and then Hard Target's a -1. So just 6s. I'm pretty sure the Long Rifle hit on its 5-up too and did a wound 2, which was excellent. That guy's just like, I got this. And then, in a stunning move, we forgot to do his Mad Gits in my movement phase, and we redid it, and they both moved in the same direction, and they hit each other, died, and they only did like 2 wounds to me, so it really wasn't that bad, actually. So on my turn 5, I charged my Knights of Sun Griffin into his Cave Goblins. This is actually, we decided that turn 5 was going to be a last turn. We just were running out of time at this point. I think we had like 10 minutes left, and we didn't want to try and push a turn 6. I didn't even get I didn't get turn 5 in my last game, and we were really close on the last one, so I agree with him. It's better to just end early, and yeah, I think he was feeling pretty confident that he had the objective, and we were kind of close on points, so that'll kind of help too for him, sure. So I went into this combat just hoping to maybe get some more points, and I charged my Knights and the Nashers, and got their points. And this is not a great picture, but that's kind of the rest of my movement. I put my Riders into the last Get Launcher to just see if I can get the 180 points from that too. And this is a great picture of kind of what the last turn is really looking like here. So his Great Green Idol only has 1 wound left, so That was really going to be the focus on my magic phase, is to get rid of the wolf guy in front of my wizard, and to get rid of the Great Green Idol. That's just another picture showing how I killed his Nashers. I get a nice and fire off on the wolf guy, and I smoke him, which was great. And then the light infantry with crossbows are able to finish off the Great Green Idol. I think I was just heading on 4s, so 4s and 6s, and they were able to do that last wound. And surprisingly, though, my rider went into the Git launcher. I don't think I did a wound, and he did a wound. So it was a tight combat. And then I went into the Cave Goblins, and I'm pretty sure these were Cave Goblins with just shields, not spears. And I do like 4 wounds. He does nothing back to me, and he sticks on his steadfast. And yeah, this is what the game's looking like. So my opponent definitely had the objective, and he was able to skillfully use his Orc War Boss on his last turn to get behind my Knights of the Sun Griffin, because otherwise they could have just pivoted, moved on that back objective, tied the objective, but I didn't have that option available to me. That's why I charged in the first place. So, yep, this is what the game looked like. So, yeah, let's tally up the points. So, looking at the final results, Emperor Sonnstahl got 1,731 battle points, and the Orcs and Goblins got 1,154. Definitely picked up a lot of points getting that Great Green Idol BSB. So that ends up being a 12-8 on the victor points, but I lost the objective, unfortunately. So it comes all the way down to a 9-11 Orcs and Goblins victory. So Empire Sonnstahl only got those 9 points there. Not the worst result at a tournament for sure. Almost a tie, but a loss. So I want to thank Daniel for playing me. Great looking army, nice guy, and I want to thank you guys for watching this, and we'll be coming at you soon with another 9th Age Battle Report.
Ain't that a bitch?